Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to be. Thank you for tuning in to Rocking Out with me and my super friends on Three Best Ways podcast. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Shon Tillman, also known as Kareem Sean, but today I'm Shon Tillman. I'm one of the digital marketing consultants here at True Digital. You can follow us online at True Digital Marketing. You can also find us on our website at www.truedigital, NKTG, short for marketing.com. Today I'm wearing a hat because I am really hoping that my Rockets pull through. I was talking a lot when we beat them, and now we're down in the series. So plus it matches my outfit, so I thought I looked good. But now I want to introduce my partner in crime, Demetri Chambers.
Hello, everybody. My name is Demetri Chambers. I am a business attorney, and I like to call myself a problem solver, because if you're an attorney and you're not solving problems, then you've got a problem. I'm glad to be here with Shon and Katrina. I met them months ago and had a great time getting to know them, and we formed this team, and we've gotten to know each other a lot better. I practice law in the area of business law, and I serve mostly small to mid-sized clients. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Katrina Keys, and I own NIA 5.0 and C&D HR Consulting. I've been in HR for 20 plus years, and I always tell people my focus is on building relationships that last a lifetime. You can always find me on LinkedIn, Katrina Keys, that's Keys. Well, I am super, super excited. I have Wesleyne Greer with me today, and I just want Wesleyne to start out. Wesleyne, just tell us a little bit about yourself and about your business.
Thank you so much for having me on the show, Katrina, Shon, and Demetri. I definitely appreciate the invitation. So I'm Wesleyne Greer. I am the owner of Transform Sales, and what we do is we transform your sales. What does that even mean? I am a sales leadership coach. I coach people, whether you're an entrepreneur and you know your craft, but you really don't know how to sell it. I teach you how to get the most money from every deal. And I also teach you how to negotiate the highest and the hardest. And I also work with large corporations. And those large corporations that I work with sales managers, chief sales officers, and I help them extract the most value.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing a little bit about your business and your background. I think we're going to just jump in, Demetri, you want to go ahead and start us off?
Okay, then how would you describe your best work?
My best work. So, okay. My best work would be when I am working with a sales manager that has a failing team. I really like hard projects. If you are status quo when you just need 1 or 2% revenue gain, that's not really, I work with you, but that's not really my best work. When there's a problem, when you're 20, 30, 50% below your quota, that is when I can really come in and help shake things up.
Okay.
Right, that's big. So, like you said, anywhere between 20 to 50%, that's moving a mountain for some businesses. And to even try to recover or gain some type of traction and being back on track to gaining, some of that lost back is basically what I'm trying to say. It's just amazing. I would have to imagine, though, you are probably very intimidating to that sales manager that has to be whipped into shape.
They actually love me. When I come into an engagement with a new sales manager, I understand, because I am a salesperson, I really understand the relationship aspect, right? So I make sure that we start off, and I'm not going to take that 50% revenue that we have to gain. I'm going to start with something small. And maybe the small thing is their team doesn't meet together on a regular basis. right? So let's just start having monthly sales meetings. Or if I'm working with an entrepreneur and they started their business years ago and they've never achieved the true growth, I want to drill down and figure out, okay, what is holding you back? Is it you? Is it the products? What is really the issue?
Awesome. So, you know what, a lot of times when we have businesses, people have misconceptions. So what are some common misconceptions you ever encountered about why you do what you do?
A lot of people think that as a sales coach, I really enjoy selling. But
wait. It's the opposite?
I'm sorry, what'd you say, Shon?
It's the opposite?
No, I mean, the thing is, I enjoy the way I sell, right? And anyone who talks to me, they will get to the end of a conversation and they're like, okay, so where do I sign? I'm ready. I never asked for it, right? Because the thing is, if you're like that used car salesperson, and no shade to used car salespeople, I mean, I bought used cars, it is what it is. But if you're selling a product that is something that's high value, or if you're selling yourself as the product, you can't push it down people's throat. You have to build a relationship. So I would say that that's the biggest misconception that people have, that sales is a dirty word. A lot of times people think sales is a dirty word and it's an illustrious thing.
Awesome.
Okay, cool. With that being in mind, can you walk me through an experience where you basically had to start from rewriting the sales script to maybe restructuring the sales goals?
Yes. I actually have a client that I've been working with. Our engagement started in March. So this was right when the world was kind of going on the downturn. And when our engagement started, we had no idea that COVID was happening or going to happen. So again, that sales leader, he didn't have a sales plan, he didn't have a process, he didn't have anything. And so I started as I normally do. But then, about a month into the engagement, COVID hit. So instead of really helping him teach his team how to engage with people in person and having good sales calls, we switched to virtual, right? And so I taught him how to have effective sales meetings virtually. And so instead of his salespeople sitting at home and twiddling their thumbs and saying, woe is me, we really helped take them to the next level using this crisis that we had to set them apart from their competitors. And I'm so excited that in July, that was the first month all year that his team hit and exceeded their quota during a pandemic, right? And so it just goes to show you that when you focus on the right things, that the outcome is better than you could have imagined.
Awesome.
Have you worked with any attorneys?
It's a funny question. My husband is an attorney.
Okay, so, great. I asked that question because I'm curious as to what challenges you may have faced with working with attorneys. And so can you share with us, and I am delighted that your husband is an attorney, because you probably have some insight that no one else has. So can you share with us any challenges, or whether you work with attorneys, and how would that go?
So in my experience, only speaking from my experience, attorneys are very calculated. They are very methodical. They like to do things exactly as it should be. Whereas in sales, there's black, there's white, there's gray. And so a lot of times the challenges are, helping to automate things a little bit more, right? Not having to spend so much time on each and every task, and really embracing automation, technology, and things like that.
That is, you don't know how valuable that answer is. I've been practicing 28 years, and I'm working very hard to build systems and automation, because I now know that things that have been in my head for years, if I could get it into a checklist and a system, I can show others how to do certain parts of the steps and free my time up for things that only I can do. And at least have a process, even when it comes to sales. If you could tell a person, here's the 10 steps that I follow when I'm doing a contract, it's a lot easier to sell that process than to just shout things off that's in your head.
Yes.
So I'm glad you said that.
Oh, sorry. That is a big thing that I find with a lot of small business owners. You started your company. This is your bread. This is your butter. This is your baby. And you know how to do everything in your head. But when you want to scale and you want to grow and expand, it's really hard, right? You bring somebody else on and they don't meet your expectations because they don't have a roadmap. And so really, I am a big advocate for having a process, right? It's a sales process. It is actually like, do this, check this box. Do that, check this box. Okay, if the customer says this, then you do that. And literally, when you give somebody a roadmap on day one, they are so much more successful. And with the same company that I was just mentioning, we were able to cut their onboarding time for new salespeople from 9 months to 3 months, right? Because we help them implement a process. And even if it's just you and you're like, oh, I'm brand new, I'm doing everything myself, start writing those things down, get them out of your head and on paper, on a Word doc, on something, because it's going to help so much when you hit that growth spurt. Because everybody has that growth spurt. It's just like kids. It just hits you out of nowhere. You get like 10 clients, which you've been wanting, but it's like, how do I help them?
Yes.
Absolutely. So, it seems like we've been focused a lot on growth and on sales, but I feel like culture is extremely important. How much of a role do you play in that aspect of helping and growing the business?
So when I am helping expand the sales team, I do what is called, it's a very objective assessment. So when I'm hiring new salespeople, I don't look at resumes, I don't do interviews, I don't do any of that until they complete an assessment. And I use the data to guide our interview process. So if I get 5 people that are good, based on the characteristics that the company defines, because I sit with the company and I say, okay, what do you need in a salesperson? Do they need the cold call? Okay, great. Do they need to spend 5 months closing a prospect? Okay, great. And so we build a profile per their specifications. And then I get those 10 people. And once those 10 people say yes, or those 10 people's evaluation says, yes, I'm ready, then we look at the resumes. Then we interview them. Because what I found, especially in sales, is people tend to pick people that are like them. We went to the same university. Oh, you like to golf? I like to golf. Oh, you like to go fishing? I like to go fishing, right? And all of that clouds your judgment. And so really, when a good salesperson, and this is another thing that a lot of people do, they're like, they have to have industry experience and they have to have sales experience. You can teach them your technology. They need to be strong in sales, period. If they worked at a gas station and they were the top person at that gas station upselling stuff, give them a chance. Teach them your technology. Sales can be learned. So.
It's interesting. We've talked about a lot of things, and one of the big things I'm big on is just impact. How can I impact others? How can I build bridges and build relationships? So via your business, tell us how you're able to impact lives.
I have a big place in my heart for entrepreneurs. What I do really translates well into the corporate culture. But I understand as an entrepreneur, many times you may be a first generation business owner. And so you didn't have the mom, the dad, the grandfather to really guide you and say, okay, this is how you read a profit and loss statement. This is how you price your products. This is how you build long-term sustainable relationships. So through this COVID period, I've been very fortunate. I was awarded a couple grants, and because of that, I offered women-owned businesses scholarships. So they were able to work with me for free or reduced costs because I really wanted to help them. And in me helping them, they were able to see their revenues skyrocket just by focusing, right? Because it's just about focusing on the right things.
Awesome. Cool.
I see that made Demetri sit up in his chair.
Well, I'm taking notes and learning while I do this. And so I'd like for you to talk to me about your processes. Can you give me an example? Client comes in and they sign up. How do you get started helping a client?
Okay. So the first thing that I said, and I mentioned this before when Shon asked me about building the culture, is I got to assess you, right? I need to know where we're starting from. So that's the first thing that we do. We start with an assessment. If you're an individual contributor, you would do the assessment yourself. If you have a sales team, whether it's 5 people or 500, everybody needs to take the assessment because I need to know what we're working with. And then after we do the assessment, we build your customized plan. And that plan is based on where you want to be in 1 month, in 1 year, and in 10 years. And so it's really customized to each person. And I believe that training, coaching is not just, something that we do once in a while. It's something that has to be done over and over. And I have an online component. So there are training courses that people take as they are working with me because different people learn in different ways. Some people can listen to me talk. Some people need a video and every 2 minutes they stop and take notes. And other people need to read it and print it out, right? And so I like to meet people where they are. And once we define what your goals are, sometimes people come to me and they say, I just need revenue, period. Okay, what's the fastest path to revenue? Let's do it. Some people say, I want to double my revenue. And I say, okay, in how long? In 3 months? No, that's unrealistic. We can double your revenue, but let's figure out what we need to get there.
Okay. Really good.
So I got to ask this question real fast. Have you ever got one of those assessment tests back and then have to go to Bob and be like, Bob, look, man, I don't know how. You gotta let them go, Bob.
I get those a lot. I mean, the thing is, I delivered an evaluation to somebody recently, and I mean, it showed that they had salespeople that were better than 1% of the population. I mean, that's pretty rough, right? And the problem was because they didn't evaluate them before they hired them. They liked them, right? And so I told you I like working with hot messes, right? If it's a hot mess, I want to help you. That's my bread and butter. So, but you need to understand where we're starting from, right? We're starting from down here. They're not going to be A, okay, in 3 months. I can get them from F to C. But I can't get them from F to A in 3 months, maybe in 12, maybe in 24 months, right? And I think that's the biggest thing that people don't understand when they sign up for coaching or training or anything. We can't fix you overnight. You have to put in some work too. And so if you're doing what you need to do and I'm doing what I need to do, I know that we can get you where you want to go.
That makes sense. So one of the things that's super important, I think, as business owners and leaders is our passion. So you didn't really share how you got into sales, but I think that's a great step into talking about your passion for sales and how you got there.
I am actually a chemist. I worked in a petrochemical company. I worked with plastics, and I got to a point and I said, I want something a little bit more. I want some more people interaction. And so I cast a wide net, actually. I was like, do I want to be a trainer? Do I want to go in sales? Do I want to go in supply chain? Like, what do I really want to do? And I found a company that was looking for somebody who was a chemist, me, that had no sales experience, also me. And I was like, wow, this is awesome. And I tell people, when I got into sales, I finally figured out what I wanted to be when I grew up. I loved it. I loved everything about it. And because I loved it so much, I made a very fast ascent from individual contributor to international sales manager. And I got from just, starting out, I took over a territory that was producing $50,000 in revenue. And in the first year, I got it to $500,000 because I wanted to be good. And because I wanted to be good, I read every book. I went to every training class. I did everything I could. I asked questions. I was curious. And so that's a lot of what I help people do today. I tell them that if you have the desire, if you have the drive, and that is one of the most important things I look at. Like that 1% salesperson, his will to sell was like 98%. He wanted to do it. He just didn't have the skills. And so I can build the skills, but I can't build the will to sell. I can't build that desire, that commitment.
Okay, then I have a couple of questions. I've just got to ask these two questions.
Go ahead.
Because a lot of times when people come to me, businesses that are in trouble, maybe there's been a breach of contract, and maybe someone's chasing them for money that they owe them. A lot of times the real problem is not a legal problem. It's a sales problem. You're not selling enough widgets, therefore you don't have the money to run the business. So do you work with people? Sometimes I will send people to people like you who need to know the value and the importance of selling. Do you work with people who really don't get it? They really don't understand that business is far and foremost about selling.
Yes, I do. And what you mentioned in selling the number of widgets, an exercise that I do with entrepreneurs is I ask them, how much does it cost to run your operation every day, right? And that is you, your employees, keeping the lights on, all of that. Okay, how many customer-facing hours do you actually want, right? Yeah, okay, we work 40 hours a week, but do you want to be in front of customers for 40 hours? No, you might only want to be in front of them for 20 hours. And so we figure out, okay, this is my annual expenses, and then we break it all the way down. And if you're saying 20 hours a week is how much you want to be customer facing, if you're in a service-based business, that's your hourly rate, right? That's your baseline. And then we add on top of that. And so I did this exercise recently with somebody, and her hourly rate came out to, it was probably like $250 or something. That was just her baseline. And so then I said, then how much are you charging? Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem. A lot of times people are not charging enough, and they don't even know how to figure out how much they should be charging, right? And you have to, in your mind, you always know, I'm not gonna drop below this much. Like if you come up and you say, okay, this widget cost me $50 in labor and time and everything, and I will not accept below $75. I will walk away from a deal if somebody offers me 65, because not all business is good business. Sometimes it's better to say no.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you gotta say no.
So when you meet that person who really don't get it, what do you tell them?
If they really don't get it, one of the few characteristics that I have to work with me is you must have a propensity to change. So if you have a desire, if you are really invested and you're like, I'm doing something wrong, I need help, I am with you all the way. I put a lot more time into my clients than I should sometimes, because I really want people to do what they need to do, especially when I'm working with an entrepreneur, because if you don't make money, you don't eat, right? And so I want to help them fix it. But I've had people, and I am the first one to say, I will fire myself. This is not working. Because if they don't have the propensity to change, you're wasting your money and I'm wasting my time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that is the key. If they want to change, we can change.
Thank you.
Any more questions, anyone?
Cool. So I think I got one. Other than being a hot mess, right? What is a really good lead for you, or a really good client for you?
So a good client would be a small business that, like I said, they know their craft, but they really don't know how to sell it. So they have this awesome product and it's just sitting on the shelf, or it's just sitting on their beautifully created website by True Digital Media, and they don't know what to do with it, right? So that would be a perfect person. Or the business owner that wants to scale, right? They say, I want to offer new products, or I want to offer new services, but what works well? What is complementary? Can you help me figure that out? I need to hire salespeople. I don't know how to hire salespeople. So any of those characteristics in a small business owner or an entrepreneur are perfect characteristics. On the other side of large corporations, I'm looking for brand new sales managers, because typically a sales manager becomes a sales manager because they were a superstar salesperson. So nobody teaches them how to manage people. They just know how to manage their little territory and their numbers. And so they need someone to hold their hand and show them the ropes. Or a sales manager that is underperforming, but the company knows that they have potential, right? So a lot of times we hear that word potential and we're like, oh, what does that mean? But the company is invested in their growth. So they know that they can do what they can get there. They just need a little bit of push, a little bit of help.
Okay, got it.
You know what? Thank you.
I got one more question if I could ask.
Okay.
You mentioned that you help people transition to virtual sales strategies. So do you have, can you tell me which platform works best? I've heard some people say Zoom, others say GoToMeeting. Is there any particular one that you would say is better for sales process?
So there's so many different options out there. And I know that you understand as an attorney that it's just about what people are going to use. Right? So I have a client and they're at a giant conglomerate corporation and they use WebEx, which, I mean, it's a bit outdated. It's kind of clunky, but the company pays for it. So we figured out how to use it, right? Like I use Zoom. And so in Zoom, I'm like, okay, this is what we can do. We can have breakout rooms. We can have polls. We can do all of these cool, fancy things. And I told my client about that and he contacted their WebEx liaison. And she was like, nobody has ever asked me to do any of these things, right? Ever. This is like a $6 billion company, right? This is a huge company. It's because they don't really embrace technology. So I would say if you're a entrepreneur, small business owner, Zoom is good, just because it's inexpensive, it's really easy to use. A lot of people are using it. People tend not to want to download software and download new things. So if you get this really cool new meeting software that nobody's using, you're probably going to get pushback. Even like Microsoft Teams, if you use Outlook, it's kind of clunky. If people are already using it, it's fine. But it's really about what people are using. And we do like mock sales calls, right? And so like, just like this, it's like you have to practice and it has to be a full circle. So when we're teaching them how to virtually sell, we give them prompts. We give them, these are the problems that the person needs to solve. You need to prepare, because you don't just show up to a sales meeting. You need to prepare. So you got to prepare for it. And then they get feedback. And so we do the breakout rooms so the manager can sit with the the employee who did the actual sales call. And then the rest of the team, they talk about what went right, what went wrong, what they learned from it, and then they give their colleague feedback. So again, it's like that full kind of 360 analysis of what's happening.
Okay, thank you.
That's awesome.
Well, my case is closed.
We just really appreciate you spending this time with us today. Is there any final thoughts or ideas that you think we might have missed that you want to share?
Yes, I want to tell people, don't be afraid of sales. A lot of people are afraid of selling, they're afraid of sales, and at the end of the day, it's a relationship. It's your job to learn about the prospect and solve their pain. If somebody comes to me and says, Wesleyne, I want to patent this something, I'm going to say, awesome, talk to Demetri. Hey, Wesleyne, I am having all of these diversity issues within my company. Talk to Katrina. I need a stellar website. Talk to Shon. What did Wesleyne get? Did Wesleyne get $1? No. Wesleyne solved the prospect's pain point. And that prospect is going to come back to me when they do need help with sales. After they get their patent, they get their crazy employees fixed and their website, then they're going to be ready to sell.
Okay.
Right?
Because all the other
ready to go. So, yes, don't be afraid of selling. Remember, you're solving somebody's problem.
Awesome.
Awesome. That's awesome. Thank you very much. So I am Katrina Keys, and I own NIA 5.0 and C&D HR Consulting. I'm really easy to locate on LinkedIn or Instagram. And please reach out to me if you have any questions or concerns.
I'm Shon Tillman. I'm also easy to find. You can find me on Twitter at Shon_Tillman, SHON. You can follow us on our website and get to the rest of our social media platforms by going to www.truedigitalmktg.com.
And I am Demetri Chambers. I'm a business attorney. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me at my website, www.walkerchambers.com. And you can call us at 832-925-8337.
I gotta do mine more like yours, man. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you soon.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much for having me today on your wonderful podcast. If anyone wants to reach out to me, you can find me on my website, transformedsales.com, or you can also find me on LinkedIn at Wesleyne Greer.
All right, so sweet. So thanks for coming by, hanging out with us, and for your time. And we'll talk to y'all later, right? We'll do this again.